It's nice to go somewhere and know that you will have a good time, that your cares will go away for a little while, and you'll walk away with friends. Every single week, there are several events. So you can do something with us every day if you want to.
Your next favorite podcast pick starts now. Here's the Professor and Heather Ann.
Welcome to
the Professor and Heather Ann.
Although we don't have all the answers, we hope we can encourage and excite you. We're here sharing our lives to inspire you to make the most of the second half of your life.
As we age, staying connected isn't just nice, it's essential for our health and happiness. This episode's topic is the role and importance of social groups in lives of older adults.
So, our society is suffering from an epidemic of loneliness, and actually it affects people of all ages. But over 25% of adults 65 and older are socially isolated. And of course, I think we all know the reasons for this, that the extended family has been in precipitous decline. And so it's not as common as it was for the elderly to live with or even near their adult children. People as they get older, and especially if they've lost a spouse, then they often are living alone, and this is very bad for both psychological and physical health. In fact, the effects of loneliness are comparable in terms of their effect on mortality risk to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And so it's a challenge that needs to be met to remain socially connected.
So it truly, loneliness affects every aspect of your life, your body, your mental health. You have a high risk of depression and anxiety. You start losing your memory, your brain activity starts diminishing, your physical health even starts diminishing. That's why I think we find a lot of older adults, they start having problems with falling, start having problems with physically, and then they also just start feeling disconnected and feeling like they're just missing things in their life.
A lot of a person's sense of themselves is generated by social interaction. We're sort of, not to get too heavily philosophical about this, but there's in a way, the way we see ourselves, a lot of it is the way that gets sort of reflected back to us by the way that others react to us. And so, and of course, there's good evolutionary reasons for how this works. Is that for our ancestors, being alone and elderly would have been like a quick death sentence. Okay, there was no way a person could have survived in those kinds of conditions, and so we're evolved to expect social interaction, and when we don't get it, then things start to go haywire. So we talk about the things that of course we have each other, but beyond that, we make an effort to have an active social life. And like, for example,
obviously you're retired, but I am still working in the business world. So I automatically have where I go out and network, and I am seeing people on a regular basis. So that helps. And I know that because I work remotely now and I work from home, I know that there are, if I'm working several days from home and just working on the computer and having conversations with people on the phone, I know after a few days it does start to wear on me. Mm-hmm. And I know when I go out network, you just get this synergy from people when you're around people. But one of the things I did start changing this year was I wanted to do less business networking. I wanted to make more connections. I am, on social media, and I'm very fortunate to have certain friends and stuff on social media. But like I found that over the last couple of years, since my boys are grown, I was missing some of those women that I was hanging out with when the boys were younger, the other moms.
Mm-hmm.
And I started noticing through social media that some of those women were starting to feel the same thing. Mm-hmm. Because you have certain core friends, and I'm very fortunate to have, I talk about it all the time, my best friend of almost 50 years. But there's still, I just felt like I was missing those connections. So I started doing more of that. We were doing more. We try to go to the synagogue a lot more. We try to participate in activities there. Since we started dating, you've been drug along for my business stuff.
Yes.
And learning networking at a business level. But I've also been able to go and make connections at the conferences that you go to.
That's right. So once a year, there's one annual conference that I try to go to. Like I go to every year, pretty much. And Heather's come along with me, and she says, I want to have the chance to hang out with your nerd friends.
Because it's the academic world, and it's something that's just very different than I've done my whole adult life. And just the conversations are obviously very different than the conversations we have when we go to my business networking groups.
So there's that. There's also, so we work out, and that not just working out on our own, doing things like weights and cardio, but we play pickleball. And pickleball, besides being a very fun game, it's a social event.
It's a very social event. We go when we go. It's the same night every week. We see the same other couples, other people that come, and we have a lot of fun of joking around, being very competitive. We're all very competitive as well. So that is something that we've also added. And then we'll have to start all over when we move to Virginia. But we're actually very excited about that as well. We've already made some connections. We've already gone to Virginia to check different communities out. Because it was before we even made that decision to move there, it was very important to us to check out the communities, make sure this is a community that we wanted to be a part of.
So I've seen some research that indicates that, this is something we'll deal with in other episodes with other guests, but that making friends after 50 is difficult, and it's very sort of the depth of connection that you can forge as a younger person. So you have Nancy that you've been friends with since you were 8 years old. Like that kind of connection, it's difficult, if not impossible, to form that when you start a friendship in middle age. So,
and those relationships are just as important. There's more and more research coming out on how those relationships later in life are shaping our lives and helping change things for us. And that is something that we've been doing. We've been making new friends since we've been together, finding other couples where we can hang out with. And we have found several couples that we do regular stuff with. And then we're going to have to find, even though we have my best friend, we still are going to need other friends when we move to Virginia.
And this is something that, of course, it's easier for some people than for others. I mean, I think both of us are, I would say, above average in extroversion. Not extremely high on extroversion, but above average. But there are people for whom this is a major challenge, and so for them, joining groups that already exist can be sort of like an entry point, a good entry point
into finding new friendships. And so my suggestion is, and even basically what I started doing this year, is finding groups that have the same interests, things that you already like, things that you already maybe do in your life, but also maybe, like, for instance, I'm wanting to take on some new things. For some reason, I have this obsession that I want to start playing the drums. And so that would be a great opportunity for me to go out and, find some groups and stuff for this type of music. Or I've been wanting to learn how to, crochet or something. So being able to find
Something
these
that's-
different groups, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you do already. Maybe it's a hobby or an interest that you want to start. So that would be a good intro into finding some different groups to go to.
Yes. So one of my groups is I play recorder, and there's a group of people that we get together once a month, and there's some music that the leader has set for us, and we for an hour and a half we play these pieces, work on them a little bit, and so yeah, something like that, some activity that can bring people together.
And it is harder as you get older, especially when your kids are grown. Like in our neighborhood, we live in a great family neighborhood, and they are constantly putting things together for families with younger kids. They put together special Halloween stuff and come by our house and get some cookies. And so that's a great thing to start, as well as look within your neighborhood. Even if you live in an older neighborhood, you could start a book club. You could, see if some of your neighbors, if some of your neighbors knit as well, it would be a good opportunity to just start your own little group as well. So with that, one of the groups that I had joined this year was Tulsa Newcomers. And it has been a great group of women, different ages, different stages of life. And through this group, I've actually connected with some of the moms that I knew when I was younger, when our kids were playing, and we had different mom groups and stuff. And I've been able to reconnect with some of them, and it's been amazing. And I would like to welcome our next guest. Very fortunate to have Judy Sunderman. She's the president of the Tulsa Newcomers Club. And we have you here so that you can tell us about Tulsa Newcomers Club and some of how this club even came about. And welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us about Tulsa Newcomers Club. Tell us how that came about. How long has it been around? Let's just kind of dive in, and you're the president of the club. So
I am the president. We think Tulsa Newcomers started just after the end of World War II. And we only know that anecdotally because all of those people are gone now. But once in a while, we stumble across someone who says, my grandmother belonged to this organization in the 40s. Yeah. So we're trying to gather some of those stories. We recently had a gentleman, Michael Patton, who's a third or fourth generation Tulsan. He came and spoke at one of our monthly luncheons. And during his speak, he mentioned the fact that his grandmother belonged to this club in the 40s. And her story was she was very poor when she moved to Tulsa. She was not accepted by the local society, and she was very lonely. She stumbled across Tulsa Newcomers. She made friendships that she maintained for 60 years.
Oh, that's a wonderful story.
Isn't that a wonderful story?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So how did you become part of Tulsa Newcomers Club?
I moved here from Illinois after my husband passed away. And my house in Illinois still sold 2 weeks before the COVID shutdown. So I got on the phone and called and just found an apartment. And I told them, I just need a 6 months lease. This will all be over. And we know how that worked out. So Tulsa Newcomers shut down as well. And in the summer of 2021, they began to open up and try to start having activities again. And that's when I joined. It was a lifesaver. My first year, I sat in that little apartment. So it was amazing when I found, and I've made wonderful friends.
So how did you find out about the Tulsa? Because I've actually lived here in Tulsa for 25 plus years, and I had never heard of your guys' group before. So how did you find out about it?
Well, I found out because I actually have a friend in Naples, Florida, who told me, when you move to Tulsa, look up Tulsa Newcomers.
Oh, wow.
Most communities have them. There was a website, but we have since revamped it. It had gotten tattered through the years. It needed some updating. So now people can find us through tulsanewcomersclub.com. And that website has a lot of information about how to connect. And people can come and try us out. I think your first visit was as a guest.
I was invited as a guest.
Yes.
I actually knew several women there. I met some new friends, and it was just it was just a lunch. And it was just a wonderful feeling to just be in a group of women, because of most of the networking I do is men and women, but it was just great to be at a lunch with just surrounded by women from all walks of life. So tell us about some of the things that you do. So you have lunches every month.
We have a monthly luncheon on the second Thursday of every month. It's usually at a country club, but we oftentimes will go other places as well. We're going to Harweldon Mansion, and Teresa Knox is going to speak in, I believe it's February.
Oh, nice.
That'll be the second time that Teresa has spoken to us. She's a fascinating speaker.
She's very fascinating. Yeah. Her story is amazing.
We had Jim Bridenstine, who was head of NASA under Trump's first administration. His mother was a member, so we would never have gotten him if not for that connection, I'm sure. We try to just get a wide variety of speakers who would be interesting. And part of our mission is to help people explore Tulsa, to learn about Tulsa, what's available here, and to take advantage of it.
But it's not just lunches. What fascinated me was, number one, the membership. The yearly membership is very minimal. But you have all these different activities for pretty much anybody that has all different interests. So tell us about, like, you go on the calendar and you can just schedule your month to the different events that you would like to participate in.
We have 24, 25 interest groups, and it's very broad. We do a lot of games, bridge, canasta, mahjong, a lot of games. We also do things where we explore the community. There's a group called Day Trippers, and we find an interesting place to go, and a small group of us go there. We have a walking group, a health-related, so we explore women's health issues, for example. I'm trying to think. We have several dining groups. We have a movie group called Popcorn Lunch.
Yes.
And so we try to go to a movie in the middle of the day, which is a real
treat.
It's a treat. You feel very luxurious when you go to a movie at noon, you know. There's 24 of them, so I'm struggling here, but there's just about anything
but you have like a wine tasting.
We do have wine tasting.
And some of these, if you're still married or have a partner, that your partner can participate in some of these.
Exactly.
So like on the wine tasting, and they also go to different every month somebody else's house.
Sometimes some of the groups go to restaurants, and some of the local restaurants have been wonderful about giving us a room. So Canasta, for example. Pinochle is a group where husband and wives go, and that I believe is on a Saturday evening every month. So
and then you have couples, like a couple's dinner. You don't have to be a couple, but once a month you have that where you go to the different restaurants
Exactly.
in town as well.
We do. We have one of the fascinating things that we do, one of the really interesting groups, is we have Susan Simmons, who's a former chef in Tulsa. She's retired now. She lives in a lovely, very quaint, lovely home in Midtown, and she will have a small group of us over. She will create the menu and pair every course with a kind of wine, and then we help her cook it, and we all sit down and eat it together. Then we all leave with a gift and all the recipes.
Oh, now that sounds like a lot of fun. I have not been able to participate in that one.
It's a lovely, lovely experience.
Tell us a little bit of the different, so you have different speakers, different topics, to help people learn more about Tulsa. You go to different locations, restaurants, and different things. What is the main mission of Tulsa Newcomers?
Well, our main mission is just one of community. We want to be a warm, welcoming, inclusive club where women can come and feel accepted, feel free to be who they are, and know that they will make friends and be welcomed. Part of our mission, though, is we want to make Tulsa feel like home for people. So by extension, that means we want to help people learn about the social and cultural community. We want to help familiarize them with businesses. We'll help people find a physician if they're new to the community. We also do a lot of volunteering. We have a philanthropy piece to our mission. So all aspects of Tulsa we want to promote and help people learn about the community.
What I love about the club is when we're younger and it's easier to make friends, or you have friends that you've brought from high school, college, then you have your work friends, then you have a tendency to become friends with your kids' parents, and
your kids' friends' parents.
There we go. We probably should. But then I saw myself as my kids became teenagers. It's, more about they're involved in their sports and their activities, and you have less time to be able to get with other parents. And then when, my kids graduated high school and going off into their lives, then, moving out of state, going into the military, going into college, then I found myself kind of at a place where it's like, where is everybody? What do I do next? And I feel like the Tulsa Newcomers is just the right place because I want to emphasize, you don't have to be new to Tulsa to join the club. Like, for instance, I've lived here for 25 years and I joined this year. It's great for people who are just moving to Tulsa, and we have had an influx of people moving to Tulsa. But it's also, if you're just at a place in your life where you just want to make some new friends, it sounds like the Tulsa Newcomers Club is the perfect place for that.
We have a lot of people who are longtime residents of Tulsa. I think we say that people tend to look for us and find us when they've undergone some major life change. So typically that's retirement or losing a spouse. But it can be for any reason. We welcome everyone. One of the big advantages of having long-term residents and people who are new to the community is that, boy, those long-term residents really know Tulsa. And they're a source of a lot of information for us. We find our speakers through them. We get ideas for things to do from them. We learn about restaurants and good places to shop and so on.
Nice.
So you moved here during the pandemic.
I did.
And so because of course, as we all know, one of the things that happened during the pandemic is the proliferation of things like Zoom, as sort of substitutes for face-to-face interaction. And my sense was that it was a really kind of very weak substitute. I mean, it was better than nothing, right? But seeing people on a screen is it's just you're not getting what you get when you're physically co-present with someone. And so I just wonder if you could share your, because to tell you the truth, it sounds like a kind of a terrible thing that you had to go through.
I knew one person here, my husband's cousin, and she's the one that first came up with the idea. I was looking for some place to go. I'd been tied to living to where my husband worked for 40 years. So I was ready to try something new and fun. So I did know one person. I knew Marlis and her husband. But I spent a lot of time alone in that little apartment, and my friend was the television.
Oh.
Yeah. So Tulsa Newcomers was a real lifesaver. And I'm not the only person who feels this way. I think a lot of people who join Tulsa Newcomers feel the same way. It's a judgment-free environment. We don't get involved in controversial subjects. We try to just be friendly, welcoming, warm. We try to do a lot of listening, take an interest in people. And I think the women are very special who belong to that club.
And I agree with that. Even though I am in the business world and I have to talk to strangers and have new clients and all of that, when I go and do things just purely social, I am a little bit more hesitant. I'm a little bit more shy. Some people probably would not understand that. But I felt very welcome from the time that I sat down. The women that were at the table just introduced themselves. Well, hi, my name is so-and-so, and you are, and what brought you here? There's never been a lunch that I have gone to where somebody I didn't know came up and introduced themselves to me, which makes it so much easier. So I cannot emphasize that enough on just how welcoming your club is.
And I have to agree with you. We try to spend a lot of time being curious about the world in Tulsa Newcomers. So we're curious about the people who attend our luncheons or any of our social activities. We're curious about what goes on in Tulsa. And we want to explore friendships and community. So yes, I agree.
So just out of curiosity, what are some of the additional things that you do? Like, do you play some of the games? Do you go to the movie?
I've done almost everything. I'm not a bridge player, so I've never done that one. But aside from the interest groups, we also have themed social events every year. So we have a social events committee. We had our annual Christmas party at Five Oaks earlier this week. But we'll have a pool party. We do a Kentucky Derby party. Just interesting ways to get together and experience each other in new and fun ways.
And make those bonds.
Exactly.
And those close relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What other kind of stories? I love the story that you started with. Do we have some other stories? I'm very fascinated now about the women that were originally in this club from the 40s and 50s. That is...
So, we're trying to get organized and capture more of our history. We made an agreement with the Tulsa Historical Society that we could deposit some of our digital records into the Historical Society so that at some point, if someone wants to learn about Tulsa Newcomers, it will be there and available, even if for some reason this group no longer exists. But we are in the process of gathering those stories. It is a very long, slow process. You have to end up going through newspaper archives and so on. And it's interesting. I know there are people around like Michael Patton's grandmother, and now it's his mother who remembers. So I'm trying to interview her. She lives in Florida, so it's a process. But we're interested. We think there's a real interesting history back there.
It sounds like a very fascinating.
For a long time, when this was the oil capital of the world, Tulsa Newcomers was dominated by the spouses of the engineers and accountants and the professionals in the oil industry. And what would happen is they would live here for a while and then they'd be transferred somewhere else. So there was a lot of turnover in the club. And over time, we've tried to evolve and keep ourselves relevant to what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we're currently discussing on the board is Tulsa is a growing community. You mentioned that. Oklahoma is a growing state. And I think we play a role in helping people connect when they come here. So we are changing the club somewhat, but it needs to change over time.
So tell us some things so they can visit the website. And through the website, can they just, it was really easy.
It's very easy.
I just said I was coming to the lunch.
They go to the website and you can fill out a form online. And it's $47 when you initially join. And that includes a very nice name tag with our logo on it. And then after that, it's $35 a year. So it's and that money, so we're a nonprofit. So all of the money that we get from dues is plowed back into member experiences.
And then each activity, like if you're going to dinner and stuff, then there's a cost to that, but it's still, it's minimal. There's a lot of business networks, groups that I've been a part of, and those have cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I'm not going to lie, that was one of the things that was attractive to me as well. It was like, okay, we can pay this. I can go to as many events as I want.
Right.
There's a lunch every week, every month to go to. And it was like, I felt like I was investing in myself to put myself into a position where I would have the opportunity to meet new friends.
Well, we want to keep the cost as low as possible. There are some overhead costs maintaining the website. We have an app called Wild Apricot, and it's very easy to go in and sign up. You can go in 2 or 3 months ahead and sign up for things that you want to do. And there is a minimal cost to some of those events, and some there's no cost at all. The volunteer group is one where we'll go and we'll pack gifts that go out and are given to people in need, or we'll volunteer at Ronald McDonald House, or this year we're supporting the Tulsa Girls Home. So all of that, if you want to donate money, you certainly are free to, but there's such joy in giving that volunteering is a real important piece of this for us, and that's no cost at all. Other than your time and talent.
Other than your time and talent.
Time and talent.
So one of the things that I have been able to attend is the Nosh and Newbies. So the newbies are for, that's the last Monday of the month where you go and you can meet other people that are new to the club. And it's at a place that's always good it has good food. And what's the Nosh? I don't think I've done that one.
That's the same group, Nosh with Newbies.
Oh, okay, Nosh with Newbies. Okay.
So we have Tracy Kundert is Director of Membership, and we have what we call the Tulsa Newcomers Experience, and our short name is TNC. So we call it TNCX, the Tulsa Newcomers Club Experience. Part of that is helping pull people in and get them started. When you fill out a form online, you don't cross paths with any people. So someone from membership will reach out to people. And then the next thing that you'll be able to do, you can do anything you want to initially, but there is one group just dedicated to answering questions and helping people getting started in the club.
And again, you said there's 24 different activities?
24, and that does not count NOSH or any of the themed events or the monthly luncheons.
So there is definitely
there's
something for someone.
There's
for everybody.
Every week there are several events. Every single week there are several events. So you can do something with us every day if you want to.
Well, is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to add for our listeners?
I would just say, don't be shy. We welcome people. You can attend something without being a member to try it out, and we encourage people to do that. So since I'm here today, if people would like to reach out to me, I would connect them with membership.
And I highly recommend it. And again, I was invited for the first lunch, and just the feeling I walked away with was just like, these are some really interesting women, and women that I would not come across in my everyday life because of the type of business I am, because of the type of business I'm in. So every time I'm doing an activity with the Tulsa Newcomers Club, I always just walk away just like, that was just a lot of fun. That was just my soul needed that. I just needed to be around some women and have great conversation.
You're absolutely right. And the world is so uncertain that it's nice to go somewhere and know that you will have a good time, that your cares will go away for a little while, and you'll walk away with friends, new friends.
Yes. So aging doesn't have to mean isolation. It can mean expansion, new friendships, renewed purpose. We encourage our listeners to check in with older friends and family members, maybe suggest, if they have some older friends or family members, suggest they reach out to the Tulsa Newcomers, and maybe it's a place that they would like to participate and be a part of.
And to wherever you may live, to look for organizations like this. There may not be any exact equivalent in other places, but there's probably something similar, and you just need to look for it.
And the thought the last couple of weeks, because we knew we were going to have you on, was I was thinking the area that we're moving to in Virginia, do they have a group like this? Because I would definitely like to join, or maybe even start a group, just to be able to get, again, just different women together to just feel the friendships, find people that have similar interests. I think it's very important, and even more so in today's world where we do feel so much more isolated than we did many years ago.
Yes. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode in which we've talked about staying social as we age, the benefits, how to find social groups, and we've highlighted the Tulsa Newcomers Club. We have so many exciting discussions coming up, including guests, and we can't wait to have you along for new episodes. So join us here each week, my friend. You're sure to get a smile. From lessons learned to mishaps, the adventures go on for miles. Here on The Professor and Heather Ann.
Thank you for listening to The Professor and Heather Ann.